So in golf, we hear this term called early extension. Early extension is a real common topic every day at the Academy. In today's video, we're going to talk about where early extension comes from, a couple of simple tips for moving you in the right direction you can do right now to improve your ball striking. I'm also going to share some snippets of students doing just that here at the Academy. Let's dig in. What is extension? What is early extension? What does that mean? And maybe if we're using the word early, maybe extension is valuable in our swing, just not when it's occurring. So let's start off with understanding what flexion is. So if I'm bent forward, getting ready to hit a golf shot, I'm in a forward bend or a forward flex. The moment I stand up, I'm going from flexion into extension. So when a golfer, from the top of their swing, is starting to stand up, tucking their hips more beneath them, extending their spine before they're into that impact zone, well, we call that early extension. So why would you early extend? Well, for most golfers, early extension is actually helping them in some way, shape, or form get their club creating a safe landing between the club and the turf relative to impacting the golf ball. So the first thing you want to look at if early extension is a concern for you is where your golf club is coming from. So you want this golf club swinging basically on the angle it was built from the ball up over your trail shoulder, back down into the ball, and then back over your lead shoulder. If you're swinging on too steep of an angle of attack or too steep of a swing plane, well, steep means down. So a steep swing is going to hit too much ground. And if this club is going to hit too much ground, you're going to want to early extend as a means of trying to reduce the amount of downward hit that you get. So the point here is, as long as you are steep, you are very likely going to early extend. So trying to fix early extension from a steep swinging angle is just going to make you worse, because the more you stay in your inclination with a steep downward hit, the more ground you're going to take. So just make sure that your club's coming from a reasonable swing plane. So this lesson's about if you're on a reasonable plane and you still have some early extension, how do you get rid of it? Well, the first thing that I would say is that if you are early extending, you have a lot of early trail leg flexion. So if this knee is bending too much too soon, can you see how my backside is being tucked beneath me? And if this knee is flexing too much too soon, now you can start looking at what's happening with that back heel. That heel is lifting the ground a little bit too soon. So lifting my heel puts the trail leg into flexion, and now I have this look of early extension. So we have to start looking at what's happening to our feet from the ground up, how our lower body is influencing the pitch or inclination of our upper body, how to start changing some of these looks so that we can maintain the inclination of our spine through the ball, still have some extension at the end where it's valuable, and start hitting some more solid golf shots. So where I'd like to start right here is with this analogy of standing on a tightrope in a circus. So if I was standing with my lead foot on a little tightrope, and if I were to put my trail leg behind me, in order for me not to fall off this high wire, I'd have to counterbalance with a little bit of a forward flex or a forward bend. And from here, I could literally, from this position, I could rotate a little bit towards the target. I would have that trail side tilt, which would mean I don't have any early extension. If I were to take this trail foot and put it on the target line side of that tightrope, you can see how I would have to have my hips more beneath me and start shifting my mass more in this direction. So if you're trying to get out of early extension, well, the last thing I would do is set up from an open stance, because I feel like it's already leading you into that pattern of movement. So the first thing you could do is set up with your stance a little bit closed, trail foot behind your lead foot, and right away you're going to feel like you can keep that trail side a little bit more down, trail side below the lead side, maintaining your spine angle. So that's the first place I would start. That closed stance is sometimes referred to as a bowler stance. So a bowler has this trail leg working back and behind the lead leg, just like the closed stance. And of course, what do we see out of the follow through of a bowler? Well, the trail shoulder is below the lead shoulder, right? So we're maintaining inclination to the ground. We don't see any early extension there. So you can start to see the value in having a little bit of a closed stance a bowler stance, giving you more of a counterbalance and making it easier to stay in that inclination to the ground. So once we got that, let's go ahead and look back to what's happening with this trail foot. So if this trail heel starts to lift early, that knee starts to flex. So instead of lifting the heel, let's think about rolling or banking that trail foot. Jack Nicklaus used to talk about this idea of trying to get a sock dirty. So that is a rolling or a banking. And as I roll or bank from this bowler stance, can you see how this leg is staying quite a bit longer versus getting into that flexed position? So now we've got a bowler stance. The trail leg is back. That's already going to make it easier for me to maintain that inclination to the ground. Now a bowler stance, a little bit of a rolling or a banking. And again, that's a great feel for getting out of early extension. So as you start moving closer to a normal stance, well, the first thing I would do is I would maybe stay in a partial bowler. Having this foot back a little bit, I'm telling you, is going to help. The next thing I want you to understand is that from the top of your swing, well, your legs have changed flex. This trail leg's gotten a little bit longer as the lead leg's gotten a little bit shorter. And you can see how much my trail knee is inside my lead knee relative to the target line. So in my transition, as I feel like I am rolling or banking, I'm also going to be mindful of keeping that trail knee inside the lead knee as long as I can. Now, of course, there's a point in time where those knees will change position and the legs will come together. But if you are early extending, well, any kind of flexion you have in that knee that's a little bit too much is happening too much too soon. So we've got to approach this from an opposites perspective relative to our pattern. All right, so now I've got maybe a mini bowler. Here's the top of my backswing. Trail knee inside the lead knee. I got my weight on my lead foot. Trail knee inside the lead knee. I'm rolling, I'm banking, I'm rolling, I'm banking. I'm trying to feel that bowler position again into the follow through. So if we start to reverse engineer what's going on here, well, early extension is coming from too much trail leg flexion. If you're lifting this heel early, the knee's going to flex too much. The hips go more beneath you. Now our spine is getting vertical. We come through into our follow through. Hips tucked a little bit too much, shoulders a little bit too level. We're losing our spine angle. We're losing our posture or our inclination to the ground. So we start off with the trail foot back, tightrope analogy. We start off with a bowler stance. A bowler stance makes it easy to keep the trail shoulder below the lead shoulder. Then we start looking at the behavior of the heel. Is it lifting or is it rolling or banking? Are you getting that sock dirty, just like our friend Jack Nicklaus? From that position, trying to get that sock dirty, can we start to feel, at least for a little bit longer, that the trail knee is staying inside the lead knee until those knees start to come back together? And you've got a really good formula for starting to change the look of your body through the ball. If you want to take it a step farther, well, you can start to feel this trail leg actually straightening a little bit through the impact zone as well, as this trail foot has a little bit of a slide away from the target line, kind of like Scotty Scheffler, right? So from the top of your golf swing, from this turn position, trail leg inside the lead leg, there'll be a point where you're just facing the ball again. So your hips, your knees, your chest, you're facing that target line, and your knees are flexed or bent the same amount again. So the world's best players, as they're turning to the target and tilting to the ground, they're starting to push away from the ground or jump. And they're not just extending this lead leg and having this one bend in, they're extending both legs. So it's called early extension. When would extension be valuable? Well, through impact and into the finish. So one of my favorite drills or feels from here is a little uppercut in boxing, right? So if you're right-handed, you punch with your right fist, try and get this feeling of punching upwards, which is really going to help you raise or elevate your belt buckle. And as you're doing that, you might feel your legs pushing up off the ground, trail leg long, and a little bit of a slide like Scotty. So if you put that all together, right, you'll end up just like that. And this is a relationship we call belt before buttons. The belt line closer to the target than the buttons of your shirt. And what does that look like? Well, that's the logo for the PGA Tour. So it's no surprise, right? That look, belt before buttons, is the logo for professional men's golf. Right, so a lot of good things here for you early extenders. If you enjoyed this lesson, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, give us a like, leave those comments below. Until next time, best of luck with your game.